Rob was part of each audition, and he was living with her and soon to marry her, and he would obviously do better with her, wanting her to get the job. I mean, was I really the funniest one in the room when we were doing the improvs for all the suits?
After the deaths, Hollywood filled the silence with tributes, condolences, and court proceedings, all searching for answers. Yet one person already knew what lay beneath the surface. She wasn't just a former co-star. She was the person he confided in behind the scenes of All in the Family. That is why she stepped forward to shut down the rumors online. What she revealed is chilling, and it closely mirrors what has been quietly confirmed, turning speculation into something far more disturbing. She never intended to speak publicly. She arrived without a publicist or a prepared statement. When a reporter casually asked how she was coping, she froze and whispered, "You don't know what he was living through." Then she looked up and said, "We failed him." In that instant, the narrative everyone believed collapsed. Her bond with him lasted more than 50 years. They spoke several times a week, sometimes late into the night. In his final months, he began calling her after midnight, only to hang up seconds later. When she confronted him, he snapped, "I can't talk long." He listens, and ended the call. That single sentence changed everything. 3 weeks before his death, she met him for lunch in Santa Monica. She described him arriving early, choosing a corner table, and refusing to sit with his back to the room. When his phone buzzed, he flinched so violently that he knocked over his water glass. She asked, half joking, "Who's got you this scared?" He leaned in and said quietly, "If I say it out loud, it becomes real." Moments later, he added, "Promise me, if something happens, you'll tell the truth." She admitted that promise is what finally broke her silence. What she described next reframed everything. She said the house changed before he did. The Brentwood property had always been loud with dinners, political debates, friends dropping by unannounced. Then suddenly, visitors stopped being welcome. He began insisting on advanced notice, even from people he had known for decades. When she asked why, he answered sharply, "I need to know who's coming. I need time." She recalled thinking it sounded less like hosting and more like preparing for danger. Inside the house, the atmosphere had turned claustrophobic. She described walking in one afternoon and noticing that every blind was drawn, even though it was barely noon. When she reached for one, he grabbed her wrist and said under his breath, "Please don't." In the kitchen, she kept her voice low as if walls could listen. At one point, she overheard raised voices upstairs, shouting, demanding money, accusing his parents of cutting him off. He tried to calm him. "Lower your voice," he pleaded. The response fired back, "Or what? You'll call the cops on your own son?" The physical signs became harder to ignore. He showed up to a charity meeting wearing a long-sleeved shirt in August. When a colleague joked about the heat, he forced a smile and said, "Doctor's orders." Days later, she saw bruises near his wristwatch. When she asked what happened, he answered too quickly, "Stairs. I'm clumsy now." His hands were shaking as he spoke. She later admitted that she had begun locking her bedroom door at night. "I hate that sound," she said quietly. Footsteps in the hallway. What once symbolized success had become confinement. The gates didn't keep danger out anymore. They kept fear sealed inside. Then came the shock that changed the scale of the story. According to her, someone had gone to the home last November under the pretext of discussing a future project. What he walked into was something far darker. Raised voices echoed through the hallway. She was crying. The other was pacing, agitated, demanding access to money that had been locked away. The visitor reportedly stepped between them when the son lunged forward and snapped, "You don't get to control me anymore." The room went silent. The visitor later described the son's demeanor to a close associate in chilling terms. His eyes were empty, he said. No hesitation, no shame. That same afternoon, the visitor pulled him aside into the backyard, away from the house. He didn't soften his words. "You are in danger here," he told him. "This isn't manageable anymore. You need distance tonight if possible." He shook his head, visibly shaken. "He's sick," he replied. "If I turn my back now, I lose him forever." What followed was an offer few could refuse. The visitor proposed paying for an elite rehabilitation facility overseas, fully secured, fully supervised. "I'll handle everything," he insisted. "Just let me." He thanked him but declined. "If I force him," he said quietly, "he'll never forgive me." She later said that sentence broke her heart when she heard it. He still believed forgiveness could reach where fear had already settled. In the weeks after that confrontation, the visitor stayed in touch, urging him to reconsider. Text messages show increasing urgency. Please take this seriously. One read. His replies grew shorter. We're managing. It's calmer now. He promised me. Each message read like hope bargaining with reality. On the final night, that same pattern held. He didn't call police. He contacted a private security firm asking for someone to help calm things down. According to call logs, he downplayed the severity. He never said he was afraid. He never said lives were at risk. She believes that choice sealed the outcome. Even then, she said, her voice breaking, he was trying to protect his son from consequences. The visitor reportedly learned of the deaths and collapsed into silence. To friends, he later said one sentence that has haunted everyone involved. I warned him, and he chose love. That warning now stands as the moment everything could have changed and didn't. But this is not the end. The final piece she revealed was the one Hollywood has spent decades refusing to confront. She said the danger wasn't hidden because no one saw it. It was hidden because too many people chose not to name it. Agents noticed his sudden cancellations. Lawyers were aware of unusual financial movements. Doctors treated injuries without asking how they happened. Each silence stacked on the next until the situation became untouchable. People knew something was wrong, she said bluntly. They just didn't want to be the one who said it out loud. She described a private phone call with a longtime industry executive who urged her to stay quiet. This will destroy everything people believe about him, the voice warned. She replied, he was being destroyed while you protected an image. The person said in the frame suggested framing the story as family tragedy rather than violence. She refused. Tragedy doesn't leave fingerprints. She snapped back. Violence does. What shocked investigators later were patterns that had gone unchallenged for years. Repeated emergency room visits logged as accidents, financial records showing sudden payments to intermediaries, emails pleading for patience rather than intervention. She disclosed that he once confided in her after a legal consultation. They told me to document everything, he said bitterly. I told them I don't want a case. I want my son back. That decision closed doors that might have saved his life. Her role emerged more clearly as well. She wasn't passive. She was exhausted. She revealed that she had asked a therapist whether parents could be legally protected from their own adult children. The response was cautious, procedural, delayed. By the time the system moves, she reportedly said, we'll already be gone. It was a sentence she said she couldn't forget once she heard it. The most disturbing realization came after the deaths when police reconstructed the timeline. The violence followed a familiar cycle. Apology, reassurance, pressure, escalation. She insisted this wasn't impulsive. He knew when to be calm, she said. He knew when to wait. Investigators reportedly found messages showing deliberate timing. Arguments initiated when isolation was guaranteed, when outside help was least likely to intervene. Hollywood's reluctance to apply the label became part of the harm. Domestic violence was discussed in whispers, reframed as mental health struggles or family breakdown. She rejected that language entirely. If he were a woman, she said, we wouldn't hesitate to call this what it was. Her words landed heavily because they forced an uncomfortable truth. Power, wealth, and fame do not shield men from abuse, and they do not excuse silence when it happens. By speaking, she didn't rewrite his legacy. She clarified it. His final act wasn't weakness. It was love pushed beyond reason. He wasn't thinking like a public figure or a director. He was thinking like a father who believed patience could still win. That belief cost him everything. The industry may struggle with that reality, but she made it impossible to ignore. He didn't die as a symbol. He died as a human being. And that truth is the one Hollywood can no longer bury. She broke the silence when it was finally too late to save him. What remains now is not a legend, not a headline, but a truth that forces us to look closer at the lives we think we understand. As the investigation continues, one question lingers in the shadows. How many warnings does love ignore before it becomes fatal? Drop your thought in the comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe our channel for more shocking updates. Thank you for watching.